Where are we at? Oh yeah, hi, this is The Hardest Question. Video blog, and I am the Reverend Russell, and here with
Mark Stenberg.
Mark Stenberg, the new senior contributor and editor of The Hardest Question. And we're starting Lent here.
Happy Lent, Russell.
Yeah, Lent, yoo-hoo!
I got your Lenten card.
Did you? Yeah.
In the mail. Thank you.
Yeah. For the longest time, I thought the season was Lent.
You're pulling out the A's here.
I know, yeah. So can I ask you to do this? I mean, and I'm just throwing this at you. If there were like a overarching, like, hardest question of Lent, like, what would that be?
For the whole season.
For the whole season, yeah. Like,
it's the same as the hardest question about Advent.
Which is?
How do you prepare for something that you could never in your wildest dreams ever anticipate or make up? I mean, the resolution will be, is supposed to be so
surprising,
other, so other that you could never dream it. So, like, why do we go through this charade of preparing?
Right, and sort of in the way that we prepare for it is like we domesticate it, or we assume some knowledge of something, and then I sort of like, when Easter comes around, we just put it in that mold. We don't treat it as that really surprising thing. We treat it as like that, hey,
let's goose each other into an hallelujah.
Right, exactly. When really to say hallelujah.
And if you're with a congregation of introverts that like to read and write, they don't like to shout hallelujah.
For years and years, we tried to figure out how do we actually proclaim the resurrection, because we thought for some reason we actually should or could bring the gravity of the event to our proclamation on Easter. And so it always was a little bit like, Christ is risen, yahoo, woohoo! Yeah, hallelujah. So, but let's get right down to Lent and start thinking about that. We are in the first Sunday of Lent, and it is Luke 4, 1 through 13. And I'm actually writing the blog post for this week. But what do we think about this? We have the temptation, right?
The temptations, yeah.
Yeah. And the temptations in Luke they come right before the more, what would you say, the John 3:16 of Luke, you know?
Right. Yeah, he opens the scroll and says, this has been fulfilled in your presence.
Right.
The
the sight, the blind, free the oppressed.
Let the oppressed go free, to proclaim
the good news,
the Jubilee year.
Right. Yeah. And we all love that as liberals. We just love that.
I got my earful of it in Berkeley, man.
Yeah. Right. Every
100 sermons on that.
Yeah, because it's about justice, and we can say it's really about fighting the evil Roman Empire.
Yeah, you can really read it as being about Rome.
But then I think you had a good question earlier, that in light of that comes next, what are we doing here with the devil?
The devil. I mean, the devil, there's 3 temptations. Turning stone to bread, and then receiving power, direct power from Satan, and then throwing himself off the temple. But, maybe the hardest question is, why do we need the devil at all? And in fact, doesn't it obscure the real opponent, which is Rome, and the way we distort the goodness of God?
Yeah, I think that is really a great hard question, because if we can just mess around with the devil and say there's this outside sort of having this influence on us, or this sort of spiritualized evil, that we never really needed to face up to the empire, injustice of the empire that we should be fighting for.
Right. And Satan will depart from Jesus at the end here, and then comes back at the opportune time, which
he mentions in here that he's leaving it, and he will come back at the opportune time. And when is the opportune time?
That is when Judas is ready to betray his leader.
So, I mean, textually for Luke, then he brings that language back.
Yeah, but, I mean, in terms of the story and the characters, I think it really flattens out Judas. It really reduces him to this tool of this powerful enemy opponent, rather than making Judas somebody who, for whatever reason, actually betrayed his leader. So that's a puzzler too.
That is a puzzler.
Why do we need Satan to enter into Judas? Why couldn't he do it of his own free will?
Absolutely, because we need a reason to betray love or whatever. It's like sort of we're stumbling into that all the time.
And it takes the tragic out of it. which
I think it does.
I think belongs in it.
Well, the devil made me do it kind of thing,
exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But we've lost that category.
I'm sorry, I can't get up there. Did you say just, I can't, I'm still thinking about, did you say that Judas is a tool? Earlier before that?
Yeah,
Still, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
People think he's a tool, but he's not. Yeah, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, okay, so again, one thing I think we should mention that we see, last week we saw Moses and Elijah in the Transfiguration.
Yeah.
And there's an echo of them here.
Sure, they both had 40-day events of fasting or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a long time.
That is a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know how they say, like, oh, hey, together we've had over 30 years of ministry. So, together, Jesus, Moses, and Elijah have had 120 years of fasting. I don't know what it is.
Days,
yeah.
But that's a lot of fasting.
That is. But, so, do you think, what I'm hearing is the really great hard question is why, I mean, does this sort of really upfront and graphic narrative about Satan and this evil diminish the injustices that we do as humans?
Yeah, and really takes the category of the tragic away from this story, and I think it belongs in this story.
Yeah.
This element of realism. People really do betray each other of their own power, and people are attracted to this glory.
Yeah.
That's against God's love. So.
And so that, like, the devil is a cartoon evil.
Yeah.
And keeps us from focusing on the real tragedy.
Yeah,
of
so I guess we don't
sin.
believe in the devil.
Okay, this is the Hardest Question video blog. Let us know how you preach this text.